A 25-year-old Nicaraguan woman died on Tuesday after she was thrown into a fire, apparently to drive demons from her body. Authorities say witnesses saw the woman stripped naked before being burned.
Klassen admitted to attacking her 33-year-old daughter, Geneva, over the weekend because she was, quote, possessed by the devil.
It may look like a scene from a horror film, but this is a real-life exorcism
presentes y futuros. Venha a nós o vosso reino. Seja feita a vossa vontade. De todos los males, presentes y futuros, tanto del cuerpo como del alma. Dale por tu bondad la paz y la salud, y séle propicio a él, ya que es hechura tuya. Por intercesión de la bienaventurada Virgen María y de todos los santos. Pai nosso que está no céu, santificado seja o vosso nome. Venha a nós o vosso reino. Seja feita a vossa vontade. Assim na terra como no céu. O pão nosso cada dia nos dai hoje. Perdoa as nossas ofensas, assim como nós perdoamos nossos pecadores.
It may look like a scene from a horror film, but this is a real-life exorcism performed by a self-professed Lutheran pastor. Manuel Acuna says he can fight the devil, who, according to him, may have taken hold of this woman. He opened this exorcism school in Buenos Aires after claiming to have successfully tamed a teenage girl who started writhing and speaking in tongues during a mass 15 years ago.
On that day, with my first exorcism, I introduced myself to the devil. From that day, being an exorcist became my way of life.
For Acuna, exorcism is a lifestyle and a business. For $47 a month, the 3-year course at his school teaches the art of thwarting evil, but also the psychology, shamanism, and even interpretation of paranormal phenomena. Students come from different backgrounds, but are united in their search for answers.
I talked with the priest, came to the church, and from there I started coming to the school to find explanations for things I went through, and from there to be able to help other people.
The Argentine Lutheran Church is opposed to exorcism, and Acuna's practices stir up skepticism and disapproval.
How much of what we see and what's been advertised is true, and how much is business? How much is about gaining fame, prestige, power, and money? And how much of all that is actually linked to God's truth and what He wants of people?
A 25-year-old Nicaraguan woman died on Tuesday after she was thrown into a fire, apparently to drive demons from her body. Authorities say witnesses saw the woman stripped naked before being burned.
The victim's husband said the mother of 2 was taken inside a church last week. Members thought she was possessed after she allegedly tried to attack people with a machete. An evangelical pastor has been arrested along with 4 other people. The pastor denied wrongdoing, saying the woman fell into the fire. He also claims the exorcism worked and that a demon exited her body.
Like myself, I was like, why haven't you called the police or anything, Why haven't you called them? She just kept saying, mumbling, devil and money, devil and money.
A murder victim's fiance telling KOCO5 about a gruesome murder. And right now, this woman, the main suspect, Juanita Gomez, the victim's own mother, accused of killing her with a crucifix.
It happened near 15th and Klassen. KOCO's Jonathan Cooper live with the disturbing details. Jonathan.
Paul and Jess, according to these court documents, that woman thought her daughter was possessed by the devil. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the details in these documents are disturbing. According to court documents, Gomez, who lives at this home near Northwest 15th and Classen, admitted to attacking her 33-year-old daughter, Geneva, over the weekend because she was, quote, possessed by the devil. According to documents, Gomez says she forced a crucifix down her daughter's throat and saw her daughter die. Documents say Gomez admitted to placing the body in the shape of a cross.
As a mom, I just can't bear it. I mean, I can't understand how this happened.
Neighbors are in shock tonight.
It's sad. I couldn't even describe the feeling.
Geneva's fiance Frankie tells KOCO he discovered the body on Saturday afternoon.
She was just laying there, you know, with her arms out. Her face was like, can you recognize it?
Gomez is now in the Oklahoma County Jail on first-degree murder charges. Now, Frankie says friends are in the process of planning a candlelight vigil. Reporting live tonight near Northwest 15th and Classen.
It is a growing trend, the demand for exorcisms. Yes, exorcisms now at an all-time high. That's according to one exorcist priest who performs hundreds of them right here in Indiana. RTV6's Mike Pelton looked into what's behind the demand.
There are 50 exorcist priests in the United States, 2 of them here in Indiana, 1 of them right here in Brownsburg, where Father Vincent Lampert tells me the demand for exorcisms is on the uptick.
An exorcism at its very core is a prayer.
It's not just a movie made for Hollywood, but Father Vincent Lampert, an exorcist at St. Malachi Parish, says it's an inverse relationship.
Faith in God will lead us in one direction, and the lack of faith will lead us in another. So there does seem to be a correlation with people who believe they're experiencing evil in their life at the same time that faith in God is less relevant.
Lampert tells me he gets about 20 requests a week from people who think they need an exorcism. He tells me only about 10% of those people actually do.
Most people, by the time they call me, they've already diagnosed themselves.
With an exorcism, there is no quick fix. So says Lampert, who explains most involve less intense prayers to get rid of evil spirits. Full demonic possession is rare. He's performed 3 of those.
You know, a lot of these movies that you watch on TV, it's always, you know, in an abandoned house and, you know, at night during the storm, that type of thing, but it's always in a sacred space.
Lampert says the demand for exorcisms is on the rise. At one time, the United States had 12 bishop-appointed exorcist priests. There's now 50 and counting.
There are different ways that maybe evil comes in, somebody being cursed, a life of habitual sin.
And I asked, after taking part in hundreds of exorcisms, how does he handle the pressure?
After one here in Indiana on the way home, you asked how did I unwind? I stopped at Dairy Queen and had a chocolate shake on the way home.
And with no exorcisms currently scheduled, Lampert is just waiting for the phone to ring. In Brownsburg, Mike Pelton, RTV6.
Regardless of the question, Dairy Queen is always the answer. We asked what exorcist priests look for to determine whether an exorcism is actually needed. Father Lampert says there are 4 key indicators, including the ability to speak and understand other languages you should know, abnormal strength, extreme knowledge the person wouldn't otherwise have, and an aversion to sacred items such as a cross or a Bible.
Some churches in Chicago are adding a little bit of sparkle to this Ash Wednesday.
That's right, it's being called Glitter Ash Wednesday, and the gesture's meant to be a show of support for the LGBTQ community. Several churches in the Chicago area are mixing in a purple glitter with the ashes. A pastor from one of those churches said she wants to make sure the Christian message is one of love and tolerance. Ash Wednesday is a ceremonial day when Christians are marked with ashes on their foreheads, ushering in the fasting season of Lent.
Father Vincent Lampert is based out of Brownsburg. He performs exorcisms all across Indiana. He also travels across the country, and he tells me some exorcisms are actually pretty close to what you see in the movies.
The power is not with me. I don't have any special powers or ability. From a faith perspective, the power resides with the person of Christ.
Now based out of St. Malachi Parish in Brownsburg, Father Vincent Lampert has a unique job. He is an exorcist priest.
The number of people asking for help is on the rise, and I attribute that to the fact that faith in general is on decline, especially in the Western world. And I always tell people that faith in God will lead us in one direction and the lack of faith will lead us in another.
Lampert tells me he receives around 20 calls or emails every week from people who believe they need an exorcism. He performs hundreds every year.
Ironically, I get a lot of people that contact me and then they end up getting angry at me because they don't really want to follow the process that I want to follow.
Through the vetting process, Lampert tells me only about 10% of people who request an exorcism actually need one. Most exorcisms are less intense prayers to get rid of evil spirits. He's performed 3 involving demonic possession, like those made for Hollywood movies.
Some of it's pretty close, because the manifestations would include things like a person's eyes rolling back in their head, foaming at the mouth.
And the key to battling demons on a daily basis apparently is keeping a good sense of humor.
After one here in Indiana on the way home, you asked how did I unwind? I stopped at Dairy Queen and had a chocolate shake on the way home.
And bishops appoint exorcist priests. At one time there were 12 in the United States. Currently there are 50, and Lampert expects that number to increase in the coming years.